Imagine a nativity scene. There's a barn or a shed, and around it are the traditional cast of animals. There's donkeys and sheep, maybe some chickens. And on one side, there's the three magi, maybe even some camels in the more elaborate sets. Now, I know the purists will argue that at this point, the magi shouldn't even be in the scene because technically they don't arrive until Jesus is a toddler. But we're gonna let that little detail slide for now. Then, of course, in the center is Joseph and Mother Mary and little baby Jesus in the manger. And this is the scene that represents the perspective of the Holy Family the night Jesus was born. This is what they experienced. But it wasn't all that was true for the world that Jesus was born into. The world was messy and hard and complicated and cruel. The census had people traveling back home to be counted so the Roman government could adjust taxes and military presence accordingly. And on top of that, Mary's unmarried pregnant belly made her own people from her own town clutch their pearls and refuse to make any room for her during her stay. And Israel's king, Herod the Great, was a disaster. He was just a puppet who people begrudgingly called the King of the Jews. He erected a golden eagle at the door of the temple, which communicated he was much more interested in appeasing Rome than being a man who put his faith in God. He built amazing things while crushing the people he supposedly built them for. He had his wife executed, and then his mother-in-law, and then 3 of his own sons. He was self-absorbed, he was corrupt, and he got by on crushing the opposition and doing whatever he needed to in order to keep the Roman government smiling on him. And then, of course, there's the Roman government itself, the Roman Empire and its network of brutality and domination stretched over everything, keeping their brand of peace by torture and execution, and spreading their brand of civilization by conquest and dehumanization, demanding worship of their dear leader, Caesar Augustus, hailing him as the Son of God, the Lord and Savior of the civilized world, the hope of all mankind, who all citizens of his kingdom should put their faith and their love. And then, mingled with all of these socio-political realities were the ills of patriarchy and xenophobia and bigotry, as well as the nature of living in a pre-scientific world where misunderstood disease took so many lives and where germs were completely unknown and destroyed bodies. Superstition and ignorance locked the world in a dangerous, painful, and often deadly hold. See, no nativity scene could capture all of that. And even if it did, it would misrepresent the scope of Mary's actual focus that night. I mean, imagine her at the edge of that manger, more aware than any of us could ever be about how complicated and broken and seemingly unfixable in anyone's lifetime life could be. And yet Mary's attitude seemed to be one of, I don't know about all of that. All I know is that this baby needs to be fed. And though it seemed like far too little to address such a fractured world, it was everything that God required of her, just to take care of the little one in her midst.